In the last lesson, we talked about ways to collect data so as to avoid bias, to keep it randomized, and then what are different ways that we can do that. So the obvious next step once we have the data is to organize it so that we can start to visualize what the data are doing and start to make inferences. The whole idea here, remember the whole theme of this unit is making decisions from data. So once we have a survey, how do we organize it? And then in the next lesson after this, we'll get into how do we start analyzing. So the learning target for today is I can organize and visualize data in order to make inferences and decisions. Okay. So we're going to get into a couple of ways to do this. We're going to talk about dot plots, something called a stem and leaf plot, but we're going to start here with tables. Now the tricky part about a table is when you have this whole bunch of information. So this is all data collected by a student named Liam, where he is trying to see, he's trying to decide how much he should read each night. So the question here is, okay, I see kind of three things I could graph, but I can't really put all that into a table. I've got the week, I've got the minutes, I've got the percent on the quiz. So really the question becomes like, what am I most interested in? Do I care more about what week it is or how many minutes or the percentage? So really on here, if he's trying to track how many minutes he reads and the score, those are the two things I really want to make sure that I put into my table. Now for a table, one thing you got to remember is like the first row and the first column, those have to be left over for titles. Okay, so in this column, I'm going to put the percentage he gets, I think. Or no, we'll put the weeks. So here will be, we're going to do minutes. And here we'll do score. And then here we can go week. So we do have room to fit it all. Here we go. Okay. Week 1. Week 2. I guess you could just do 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to write the word week if we're going to write week up here. Okay. Now that I've got that in there, all I got to do is fill in my data. So in week 1, 10 minutes yielded him a score of 65%. In week 2, 20 minutes, he doubled his efforts, got him 10 extra points. And he went to 30 in week 3 and got 85. And then in week 4, 40 and got 95. So when we take these numbers, here's the benefit of a table. We take these numbers out of a paragraph. It's really hard to see what the data are doing there. But here you could see as we increase the amount of reading each week, the score, that's going up as well. So what pattern do you notice between reading time and test scores? There, let me give it a little bigger here, okay? As he reads more, scores go up. In the second half of the chapter, we're going to talk about something called a correlation. I think we would be a bit more specific about this because you do notice a pattern, right? Every 10 minutes extra he reads gets him 10 more percentage points. So if he reads 25 minutes a night, what can we expect his score to be? Well, for 25 minutes, that would be like right in here between those two. So halfway between 75, if it's 10% for every 10 minutes, that would be a percent every minute that he reads. Or 25 is halfway in between 20 and 30. So halfway in between 75 and 85 would be 80%. Okay. Again, much easier to analyze this data when you put it into a table. All right, stem and leaf plots. So there's a lot of reading here. Basically what a stem and leaf plot does is it takes a data set, which you see here. This is kind of messy. It takes this data set and it organizes it into groups of 10. So for this one, what a stem and leaf plot does is the leaves are basically the last number. So think leaf is last. The stem is everything else. Okay, the stem is everything else. So like here, if the leaf is 6, the stem is 7. Okay, if the leaf is 3, the stem is 10. So if you think about it, with this data set, the leaf is the ones place, and the stems, basically we're organizing this data set by how many 10s there are. Okay, and these are the ages of the eldest members of her family. So we can't really see, if I was to look at this data set for the family reunion, I wouldn't really be able to see, okay, where's most of the people located. But when I put it into a stem and leaf plot, well, let's see, my lowest number looks like is 74. Okay, I'm just going to put this in order real quick. So 74, 76, 76, check them off as I go. Next number is 85. 88, 89, 89. Mm, 92. There's some old people at this. This is impressive. 92, 96, 99, 103. And just to make sure, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Never hurts to take 10 seconds and count your data set. Okay, so on here, I've got, notice, I can group these together, the septuagenarians, the octogenarians, the nonagenarians, and the centennial, I don't remember, whatever, it doesn't matter. So basically what a stem and leaf plot does is going to take this group. So notice as soon as I put it in order, it's a little bit more organized. But a stem and leaf plot is going to take this and group them according to their tens. So I put the 7 here because these all have a stem of 7. The leaves are 4, 6, and 6. And you don't have to put commas in between because it's understood that the leaf is only one digit. Okay, the stem is 8 for this one, and I've got 5, 8. Notice I have to put 2 9s because I've got 2 89s. Just like up here, I'd had to put 2 6s because there's 2 76s. All right, next 9 goes 2, 6, 9. And this one, when you get the triple digits, it's still the last digit that's the leaf. So this would be, see about the lines in between there, it would be 10, 3. How many tens? 10 tens is 100. Now, it could be that you have like a decimal somewhere, so we always need a key to tell us how to read this. For the key, I'm just going to take one of the numbers, so maybe I'll take like that. See how that says, if I'm looking at that, if I took like a screen capture of it, it would look like 8 with a line and then a 5. So I'm just going to put my key, that equals 85. Okay, and if you look at this, I can see that, okay, of all the elder generation here, most of them are in their 80s, and I've got a nice distribution of the data here and here, right? With a little bit maybe pulling this way, maybe it's skewed a little bit to the right because I've got the one person who's 103. Okay, you're not going to be asked to make a stem and leaf plot on the homework, but you do need to be able to read them. So just remember that the leaf is the last digit. So like if I was to read this, this would be 89. This would be 96. Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about dot plots. So dot plot, you've experienced these before. They basically take and they plot a dot on a number line to represent one data value. One thing we're going to get into here is, notice I've got this is called like a double dot plot. So this one you got to read. This is the number of football games 7th and 8th graders attended last year. So think about what this is. All the O's are 7th graders and all the X's are 8th graders. So if I kind of let me ignore the X's for a minute, right? So I had two 7th graders, say 11. I had 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay. So notice most of the O's are kind of down here, aren't they? Okay, with a little bit more down here. I had 3 there, right? The X's, I had 2 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1, 1. So a lot more of the X's are up here, with it kind of trailing off as we go here. So describe the distribution of this data set for each data set. So in other words, for the 7th graders, for the 8th graders.
So while it may seem like we're skewing this way because all the data is on this end, think about what's happening with the mean. When we talk about the data being skewed, we're talking about, is the mean being pulled one way or the other? Well, we do have the majority of our data here for both the 7th graders and our 8th graders, but with these lower items down here, that's going to pull the sum of all the values back toward the left. So this is going to be skewed to the left because we have these few data points pulling this direction. So as far as what we write, let me just grab my text tool here. We would just write both are skewed to the left. And then the last question, do you think, generally speaking, more 8th graders and more 7th graders watch more games? I would probably say 8th graders, just based on the fact that the sheer numbers here. You have fewer lower numbers for 8th grade than you do for 7th, so that would be my answer to that question. Again, it's kind of a hard lesson to teach because a lot of it goes by, kind of getting a sense of where the data values are. But the next lesson we're going to get into is analyzing the numbers, and in that lesson, it's going to be a whole lot more concrete. We'll get into things like mean, median, and mode, and mean absolute deviation. So that's it for this lesson. Good luck.